One of the strategies you shared at that event is that you can actually acquire businesses, no money down. Now, this sounds a little crazy at first, but when you explained it, it is powerful, and I think everyone should know that this is a possibility.
Yeah.
Will you break this down? Like, how is this possible?
Well, it's really funny because I just started thinking about, well, you can buy real estate with nothing down, because I learned about that from Bob Allen back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it actually worked. And I when I do a talk like at EO or YPO or those kinds of things, I'll say, who here has ever bought real estate for no money down? And 2 or 3 hands will always go up. And in a real estate crowd, maybe half the audience, right?
Yeah.
And I say, well, the funny thing is the exact same things that you can use to buy real estate for no money down apply to a business. And how did you guys feel the first time you did that? Was that like, holy crap, I can't believe I can buy this for nothing down? And everybody's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same feeling when you do that with a business the first time. And so I say that there's, I think it's 7 reasons to buy a business. So you buy it to get media, so that you have access to an audience that you can then sell to. You can buy it to get a team. You can buy it to get a product or a service that either you're buying from somebody else or that they're buying from you. You can get it to compress the supply chain, meaning you're buying distribution, either manufacturers or creators or whatever, down to actual distribution channels. Or you can buy it for IP, for intellectual property. And then you can buy a competitor as well. That's that's the obvious one, I think. But the other 6 that are around that are really good ways to expand your business dramatically. If you could have more media with a better team and additional products and services to sell and more people to sell them to on the distribution and more people to create good products at a lower cost through supply and get more IP, and gosh, God forbid you buy your competitors too, you can grow a pretty daggone big business, right? So then it's, well, how do I do that? And what am I buying? And the reason I break it down into those 7 categories is I don't want people to think they have to buy a company. Media can be a YouTube channel, an Instagram account, right? Facebook group. It could be a company, but it could be a slice of a company that has media. And it could even not be a company, just could be somebody's side project that they view as a job, but they started it and now they've built up 50, 60,000 or 200,000 members, right? And you can buy those when you negotiate. You can buy those usually shockingly inexpensively. And some people, want a ton of money, but some people don't.
Yeah.
So it's a numbers game, just like dating. You have to ask a lot of folks if they're interested, and a few of them are going to say yes. Now, it comes down to, okay, you've agreed, I'm going to buy this thing, and you're going to buy it for a certain amount of money. And I'd never let whether I can afford it or not enter into the equation until I get to, we've agreed that they'll sell it for this number, and I feel like that's a fair number.
Yeah.
And it's the lowest number that I'll get. Then it's the law of price and terms, which isn't a law that I know of, but I decided to create it. And that says that you can get any price if the terms are good enough. Right? But if you want, so then it's, okay, well, I always ask, what do you need the money for? What are you going to do with the money when you get it? Typically, they have no plan, or they have a plan that doesn't require 100% of the money that they're getting. And at that point, you've immediately identified how much you actually have to come up with. So now I know there's an amount that they need, and there's a whole bunch of ways to do that. I can say, let's do that on, you want more than I think the business is worth. If the business generates that much over some period of time, then we'll agree that I'll pay you that amount. That's called an earnout, right?
Got it.
So that's one way to do it. You can say, I'll just, how about if you just carry it back? What are you going to do with the money? I don't know. I'm just going to have it to, retire on. Okay, great. What are you going to be able to invest it at? Well, right now, maybe 2%, 5%. This is great. I'll give you 7%. How about that? And you just carry it back. Seller carry. I'll go and say, what are the other assets in the business that are leverageable? So can I do an asset-based lending deal where I say, okay, I can factor your purchase orders or your accounts receivable. You've got this land that's worth this much that doesn't have any debt on it. We'll leverage that. And then the business can provide the money for the down payment through the assets of the business. I'll go and do slips, which are self-liquidating payment deals.
Okay.
And that's where I say, okay, we're going to buy this interest in the company, and you're combining that, and you're saying, okay, you're going to finance that over this period of time. So I'm going to have the company, my interest now in the company will cover the payment over time. You'll have non-competitive partner deals, so you can go out and say, you guys are interested in these customers too. You do microblading, and we do women's hair replacement. So how about if this audience needs both of those things? How about if I make the deal happen and you come in with, let's say it's $1 million that I had to buy it for, and I had to come up with 20%.
Okay.
So I need $200,000.
Yep.
So I go, and I'm the hair replacement. Then I go to the microblading people and I say, how about for $200,000, I give you the opportunity to have access to this list.
Right.
And I'll give you 20% of the company. Right?
Right.
Well, now it's a 80-20 deal, but I got 80% of this company for $1 million for free. So I just made $800,000 of unrealized non-taxable income, right, until I sell it. So there's a ton of ways. So it's just all of those creative ways at looking at that, which are most of those, not like the last couple, but most of those are real estate based.
Yeah.
It's just, hey, what if you I'll give you, $100,000 for this house. Will you carry it back?
Yeah.
Can I pay you when I sell you? Can I have an option?
Super creative. I mean, the big takeaway I get at the beginning was asking the questions, asking, what are you going to do with that money? Because that gives you leverage points. It gives you clarity, gives them clarity. Yeah. And just, you open up the whole world.
Yeah. And then you talk to every seller. So if there's 4 sellers, you want to talk to all of them, because some of them will want to hold out for more than others will.
Yeah.
But if you can scoop up, let's say it's 4 people, if you could scoop up 3 of them at a valuation that's 50% less than what the one wants, because the one has an unrealistic expectation, you've effectively bought control of the company. You have 75% of the company for 50% of the ask, right? Then the 25 can either come on board,
right?
They can be diluted later if you're adding new things in. You take care of them, you treat them fairly.
Yep.
But they don't have to be on board, and you don't have to own even 51% of a company to have control of it, depending on how widely dispersed the ownership is.
Okay.
So there's lots of ways to do that. And ownership of stock is like ownership in real estate. Fee simple in real estate is called the full bundle of rights.
Okay.
That includes riparian rights like water rights, mineral rights, air rights, land rights, lease rights, easement rights. All that goes into this thing called fee simple. In a company, you have stock, but stock can be split off into all kinds of rights too.
Yeah.
So stock can be split off into a life interest. It can be a profit participation interest. It can be a rights deal. It could be a proxy deal. So you could just buy the proxy right to vote the stock from somebody else. They still own the stock, but now you've got voting control of the company. I mean, there's a million things you can do. You just have to think. It's all, to me, thin slicing. Everything. Yeah. You thin slice your profit centers. You thin slice the equity chunks. And then you look at every single aspect and say, where can I get leverage?